Very cool, man. Thank you so much for breaking that down. That was awesome.
For sure.
Um, I'm curious to know, like, what's your self-talk like?
Self-talk.
Both during training, when you're not training,
Mhm.
and before and during matches.
Yeah. So off the mat, I definitely think about wrestling, but I have a lot of being that I'm a young kid. There's a lot of distractions out there and things in my life that I have to take care of. For example, I'm still in school. I have my schoolwork that I have to do. I'm trying to get into Stanford. I've been accepted, but you still have to keep your grades up. So focused on my school. I've obviously helping around the house. I recently started doing private lessons with other kids, which ties me back into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like thinking about that a little bit, and sometimes you have to have your fun too. Weekends I love fishing. That's one of my favorite things to do over the weekend. Sundays, try to go fishing as much as I can. Good way to kind of escape life and have some quiet personal time. Um, During practices, getting better is always the goal, right? You're trying to get 1% better every single day. Figuring out, what it is I need to work on in every given day. Going back to our talk about being intentional with our
Mm-hmm.
training. Something I like to do before practice is, I get myself ready to go and I'm thinking, I've been working on this move and I want to implement it today and we're gonna really focus on that. Maybe one day I'm focusing on my hand fighting and really being physical with my hands. Maybe another day I'm working on being really slick and evasive and you know scoring and stuff like that. So being intentional about my training and that which helps me get better. And then pre-match is that thought process is I like to call it a fuck you mentality.
All right.
Basically, it's like you know and you go out there, this guy, you've been training for a certain amount of months, you're this is your tournament, and when I walk out there I'm thinking this guy's trying to take that from me, right? And I can't let him. So obviously there's like a level of being relaxed and making sure that you're not getting yourself too psyched up and you're feeling good. But it's also like you got to go on the mat thinking this guy's trying to take something from me and I can't let him. I got to take it from him. So I like to call that like a fuck you mentality. Like I'm gonna get in your face and I'm gonna beat you up and it's gonna be a tough match whether I win or lose. You're gonna remember that match for a freaking long time. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the mentality going out into the match. And just like you and me in person right now, even in the practice room, I feel like I'm a pretty nice guy, but it's just when I get out there, it's war. It's like literally it's a war out there. Gladiator times. It's one guy trying to kill the other man. You're in the ring. You got to, you're letting it fly. You're letting it go.
Yeah. So that actually leads me to my next question, which is, I mean, it sounds like you have that like killer instinct. We
Yeah.
talk about that a lot as like the highest level. People just like, they know when it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to turn that on or off?
For me, it's when I always listen to music before matches.
Okay.
And I've been doing this for so long, my brain kind of knows when to lock in. And so I'll be in the corner kind of having a good time or whatever. I see I'm coming up 10 bouts. I'm like, headphones go on. We're locked in. We're zoned in. Mind's entering its phase. We're getting ready to go. I'm visualizing my attacks, visualizing how the match is going to go. I like to slap myself up. So I kind of give myself, slap my legs, slap my face, get myself ready to go. And I'm just like, we're about to enter the war zone. We're about to get after it. So
it sounds like routine is
routine
a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just, honestly, you can't just walk out there and expect to do anything. If you just like, let's throw the gi on or throw the shoes on and let's just go out there.
Right.
It's not how it works. You got to, you have to kind of enter your phase and get yourself mentally prepared for the battle you're about to endure.
Right.
So
I'm curious to know because I don't know if you remember this when you played for me with the Junior Sharks, there was a time where I let you lead the pre-game.
I do
like
remember that.
The mental prep.
The
I've never seen
on.
you so excited.
Yeah, I do remember that. Actually, it's funny.
How has that changed since then, or is it the same routine?
It's the same. It's been the same since I got my first pair of headphones when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
Headphones on. I like rap music. That's my thing. Gets me hyped. Gets me ready to go. and I'm just locking in, slapping myself up. I'm like, let's go do this thing, let's go get it.
Okay.
And yeah, it hasn't changed. It's been 12 years, hasn't changed. So
yeah, okay. So routine and consistency in that routine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Developing that and sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Has there been times where like you didn't feel like you were able to have that routine, or was there any times that like you walked out on the mat and you didn't feel prepared?
Yeah. So something my dad always emphasizes is we use the Olympics as the example because it's the very highest pinnacle. It's the pinnacle of the sport. It's the highest, the biggest event. So he'll tell me you might not be feeling the best. Olympic finals, all the lights, everybody's watching. You might not be feeling your best, and in those moments you have to find a way to win. And so there's a lot of times where maybe the weight cut was hard and you're not feeling good. Maybe you got a little bit sick. I remember last year, I wasn't there, but at the World Championships, almost everybody on the American team got I think it was rotavirus or something like that. Everybody like from the water. It was a tournament in Jordan. Tournament was in Jordan. So everybody got sick. People were hospitalized, and they had to figure out how to get on the mat and get the job done despite not feeling good and despite not being at their best and not having the prep that they wanted. There's times where you just that's where you tap into all of the previous years of training, physical and psychological, and that's you got to get it done when it matters, despite how you feel, because you might not be feeling your best every time.
Yeah. Do you have any like matches in particular that you remember where that happened with you?
Yeah, actually, the one that we just watched, for example, I remember that cut was pretty hard, and I was feeling it a little bit in the match, and I just kind of had to rely on my will, my psychological power to stay in the match despite feeling kind of that sluggishness and tired. And as we saw, I got the job done.
Yeah. What did you lean on for that? Were you, I guess maybe kind of going back to the self-talk piece, like what are you telling yourself like in your head because you had that tough cut and you're like feeling sluggish and
yeah. I like to just tell myself the other guy's probably feeling worse. Because I'm like, he maybe he's not cutting the same weight, but I know that I have a big gas tank. That's again one of my big attributes. So I'm like, if I'm tired, he's exhausted. Like he's got to be suffering right now. So really just relying on that. I'm like, I'm coming back to the corner. I'm breathing a little bit, and I'm like, I'm feeling it. I'm like, man, I wonder what this guy's feeling. And I, that kind of gives me that boost of confidence to come back to center. I'm like, let's just, keep pushing. It's going to be hard for me, given that I'm not feeling good right now, but it's going to be harder for him. And, kind of, that mindset right there.
I'm curious to know if you've ever lost a match and felt like you won because you accomplished X, Y, or Z, or vice versa, won a match, but it didn't sit right with you.
Yeah. So, I've had both where I wrestle a match and maybe I was just a little bit hesitant and I felt I could have pulled the trigger a couple times more. Maybe I made a couple little mistakes and I'm like, that cost the match and I'm just like, come on, Aden, like let's, should have been more offensive there. Should have let it fly.
And this is a case where you won. You won, but you didn't do it the way you wanted to, or this is a case where you lost, but you felt like you won.
Okay, actually, I was. That's
okay.
Yeah, you flip it around. So, where I won, but I felt like I didn't wrestle at my best. I can't really, to be honest, I can't think of too many examples because I feel like usually, I feel like I'm a pretty hard competitor. So I feel like when I'm out there wrestling, like I control the match the way I want to. I'm gonna, I do it the way I want to do it. So I wrestle hard enough to be like, okay, I wrestled a good match, type of deal. So I don't know that I've had very many matches where I'm like, oh, I deserve to lose that one or anything like that. And a lot of the matches that I lose, I feel like I should have, I was like, I'm proud of my effort there, especially at this level I've gotten to now. It's like a lot of these guys are really good. And it takes basically everything to beat them or to stay at that level. And so, for example, there was, that's this senior national tournament last spring. I wrestled the former world bronze medalist, and it was a really close match. Took him all the way to the end, and I know that I broke him, but he just he won by 1 or 2 points. And I was like, you know what? I'll get him back next time. I'm proud of my effort. Like, let's just keep building. I'm young. I gave it everything I could, and I'm not far. Just a couple little mistakes that we made, and we'll get that one back. So that's an example of like, match didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I did what I could to be proud of my result.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not, we've talked about this on the podcast quite a bit. It's like you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Your effort that's the thing that you said a couple times there that really stuck out to me was you controlled your effort, and you were proud of your effort. And even if you didn't get the win on paper, you still were proud of the effort you put forth. And I think if you're focused on what it is you can control, in this case your effort, then that is ultimately what matters most, and that's where I think the most progress is made.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have I'm curious though, do you have like a preferred way to win? Would you rather pin the guy? Would you rather tech him? Would you rather...
Yeah, so for me, a tech displays more dominance.
Got it.
It could be a close match and I can pin someone, but a tech is always, if I tech somebody, I beat them by a lot of points usually. So to me, a tech is, though a pin is actually more valuable, to me a tech displays more destruction and is cooler. It's better. It's a better way to win to me, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because the score gap was just so high that they're like, okay, we got to stop this match.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
basically, they're like, oh, this guy needs help. Like, get him off the mat.
He needs some milk.
This guy needs help. You mentioned earlier. I know you like to fish. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, what are you doing outside of wrestling that you feel contributes to your success on the mats, specifically stuff outside the sport?
That's a good question. Fishing I use fishing as an example. That's probably like one of my main hobbies. To be honest, I don't have a lot of time to do extracurriculars and stuff like that. It's mostly my school and my sports, and I just took on these private lessons. I coach private lessons now, which is pretty fun. It helps my understanding of the sport, and it's cool to give back to the community. And little cash is always fun.
Yeah.
And then for me, fishing is like, if I have any kind of spare time, I like to I'll call up my buddy. Sundays we like to fish and have a good time. It's it's good to kind of relax. Let your body relax and kind of let the mind relax a little bit and have a good time, let loose a little bit. I like, hiking sometimes too. I like cars a lot, so I'll, go for a cool drive in the mountains or something like that. Just kind of play some music, have a good time, let myself think a little bit.
It sounds like that's a meditative experience for you then.
Yeah.
Where you can just kind of shut everything off.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Is the rest of your time spent sort of like just in the zone thinking about wrestling all the time? Or I guess when you think about your day-to-day, like what percentage of it is wrestling based?
I would say a third. I would say maybe a third's dedicated or more. A third or more is dedicated to school because you have your school day or whatever. Another third.
Are you homeschooled right now?
I'm homeschooled right now.
All right.
Yeah. So which is good. It's good because I have like a lot more time and I have a lot more flexibility. At the same time, some of the classes are really difficult because I'm taking hard AP classes and I have to teach myself all the material. Specifically for my APs, they're on a course where it's just a course. There's just basically slides. So for example, AP stats is so hard because I'm teaching myself how to do these algorithms and like how to graph all these equations, and all I'm doing is reading a Google slide that's showing me alpha, beta, this, and I have to figure out what to do with that. Watch videos, kind of rely on my different resources. So I would say school takes up a large portion of the day, and then I would say wrestling is maybe a third, and then the next maybe third or fourth is like hanging out with my family and having a good time and maybe being on my phone for a little bit or.
Yeah. And during that time when you're just hanging out with the family, there's nothing like wrestling about it at all? You're just chilling, or
you haven't met Joel?
Dad talks nothing about wrestling. Get home, how was practice? I describe practice, and then we're talking about like, oh, you need to focus on this, you need to focus on that. Lifting is another one, by the way. Yeah. I forgot about that. I lift a lot for a wrestler. Most wrestlers, I would say, they lift 3 to 4 times a week. I lift like 5 to 6, and a lot of times I'll do 2 lifts a day on top of my practices. So lifting is another big focus. Yeah,
that's a fuck ton.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of lifting.
Yeah.
So lifting makes up a big part of the workload too.
How long are each of those lifts?
Usually they're somewhat short but hard. So we go 45 minutes in the morning. And my dad kind of puts me through it. We're like back-to-back sets, minute rest, and then you're back onto the next thing. Mm-hmm. And it's all hard. It's like, the burnouts are the worst. It's like, I'll get off a set and then we'll have me do like, 50 hammer curls or something like that off of like, a hard set of curls after that.
Right.
Okay.
So mornings are 45 minutes.
Mornings are 45 minutes. Nights are like, 30, 20. Usually we're just focusing on 1 or 2 body parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I mean, that equates to what we would typically do, like for our jiu-jitsu guys. Most lifts are about an hour to hour and 15.
Yeah.
So combined, it's roughly the same amount of time, but it's the intensity really that maybe separates what it is you're doing from what some other people are doing.
Do you have like a program you're tracking or something like?
How do you track?
Yeah, how are you like structuring it at all, or like what are you?
Yeah, so my dad was a bodybuilder when he was kind of like mid 20s.
Oh, sick.
30s. So a lot of this stuff comes from his experience in that. And then he does, he's so invested in this sport and helping me achieve the highest level. I mean, he watches these, I don't know if you've ever heard of Andrew Uberman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he watches all those episodes.
Don't get Josh started on Andrew Uberman.
He's my guy.
He watches, he goes on down rabbit holes just watching all that stuff, and then he'll like find the specialists in this, area of work, for example. It might be sleep or something, and then he'll just go to that guy, go down a rabbit hole with him. And so for lifting, for example, he'll like, pick things up from those podcasts and just his previous experience. And then he'll implement those into my lifts. And then just kind of like instinctive, like, we need to work on your biceps or whatever, we need to hit those really hard right now, build hypertrophy or whatever. Stuff like that.
And this is all like wrestling focus, because
a lot of wrestling focus. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're saying like one of your biggest attributes, especially since you're younger, you can take advantage of like being like just really strong against all these other dudes, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you have more questions on the?
I was just gonna say, being 18, you can recover from intense lifts like that much quicker than a 30-year-old could.
Yeah, I'm broken. 100%. I'm 31.
Yeah.
I can't lift 5 times a week anymore. It won't work.
Your recovery is another really big one. So my routine is I'll go this is basically every morning during the week. I'll go lift in the morning. I get in the sauna. I get in the cold plunge. This is how I start every morning. Get to my school. Practice is usually at 3:00. Go to practice. I'll either lift right after practice or I'll come home and I'll hit like a quick, little routine, and then, getting the right nutrients in, and then we, get into bed. Wednesdays, usually I'm off the mat, but we're still lifting.
Okay.
And Wednesdays, I'll take advantage of kind of like being off the mat. I'll do a little bit more recovery or whatever. It could be, we have a hyperbaric chamber.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've been in one.
So
actually.
it could be getting in there. It could be a longer cold plunge. It could be we have a jacuzzi, get in the jacuzzi, long sauna session. So, if you're working out that much, it's really important that you're focusing on the recovering too, stretching, all that stuff.
Yeah.
What time are you waking up to be able to like hit the sauna and cold plunge and like make it to, I guess, start your schoolwork and everything?
Usually around 7. I'm not a morning bird, so I can't be up too early.
Yeah.
So 7 is usually when I'm up, and that gives me enough time to get everything done by the time I'm leaving to practice, and then I'll go to bed around 10:30, 11. That's kind of my routine.
Okay, so you're waking up at like 7, and then you just immediately go hit the gym for, you said like 40 something minutes.
Yeah, 45 to an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is all of this stuff co-located? So are you are you lifting weights like at your
house? Yeah.
Oh, so you have a home gym.
My garage is my gym,
Sick.
and then our game room or whatever is our office is our wrestling room.
Yeah, because you got
So
mats
we have a
and
mat in there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and so then, so you work out at your home gym, and then you guys have a sauna and a cold plunge.
We have a sauna, cold plunge, the hyperbaric chamber. I have a loft bed, so the hyperbaric chamber is underneath my bed, and then we just got a jacuzzi. So we just kind of like throw everything around.
Okay.
Figure out a home for it.
Cool. So then that means you can go straight from working out, just go hop in the sauna for how long are you doing your sauna sessions for?
It depends. Usually they're 20 minutes in the morning, just kind of like in and out, and then I'll hop in the cold plunge for another minute or two.
Okay.
Because I'm doing it every morning. But on specific recovery days, I might be in the sauna for 45 minutes. I'm going 3 cold plunge sets or whatever, and I'm going like in and out. When I'm cutting weight, sometimes I'll go in there for almost an hour. And our sauna gets hot. It gets up to like 220. So it gets pretty hot in there.
Damn.
Yeah.
Back to your wrestling room, your office. Your sister is one of your was at least for a certain amount of time one of your main training partners. She wrestles at Iowa.
University of Iowa.
University of Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She Iowa style.
Iowa style. She's developing Iowa style.
Okay.
It's actually they're the first women's D1 program.
Okay.
So they haven't quite developed the full Iowa style, but I'm sure like the longer that she's there, the longer they'll kind of build up on that.
Very cool. And you both are black belts in judo.
Black belts in judo, yeah.
Sick.
Can you talk to us more about that? I know you probably don't train judo much anymore.
Yeah.
But was that intentional? Was that intentional for developing a more well-rounded wrestling game?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Even hockey was originally, my dad put me in hockey, more skating just to build my leg stability, my balance and leg power, and that just developed into me wanting to play hockey.
Yeah.
But it was definitely all intentional. Same with judo. There's a lot of good grappling techniques. Throwing is a big part of freestyle, specifically freestyle wrestling. You throw somebody, that's 4 points.
Okay.
That's like almost a third of the points to earn yourself a tech.
Right.
So definitely helps with the grappling, grip fighting, helps with hand fighting. It goes hand in hand. And also it was just it was a good idea to just be able to have the option of like go between, maybe wrestling's not working out. So I'm like, I want to go pursue judo, or vice versa. Judo's not working out. Wrestling's, what I want to go lean on, So,
did you compete a lot in judo?
I did. It's been a while since I've competed. Actually, it's been like since 2021 or something like that. It's been like 3 years.
Okay.
So at this point, I don't really compete in judo really at all.
That makes sense.
But I still, practice every now and then just to, stay sharp with it.
Cool.
How long did it take you to get your judo black belt?
It took, let's see, 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah, judo takes a little bit long. I think it takes pretty long to get a black belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It takes a little bit of a longer time.
When did you start judo? How old were you?
I was 4.
Oh.
I was 4, yeah.
Okay.
I think the youngest you can get it is 16. I think I got it at 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was like an actual... you couldn't actually even get the black belt until you were 16.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Got it. I was just curious. I just started judo recently as a white belt. Yeah, fresh white belt.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually if you start later, they rank you up a lot faster.
Yeah, take it easy on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Josh is in disguise because he has prior grappling experience, and despite his white belt in judo, he I think would qualify as much further along in his judo journey than most true beginners. But,
thanks, Matt. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's, combat sports, especially like wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu, they all go hand in hand. If I started jiu-jitsu right now, I think I could have a good head start because of my wrestling background and my judo background.
Right.
If you're a jiu-jitsu fighter and you started wrestling, you have a great head start. You know how to grapple, you know how to move on the mat.
Right.
And they just all kind of, interlink with each other.
Going back to sort of, I guess, levels in combat sports. So when you said you go into the wrestling room, you kind of know who the better guys are, who you might classify as like a white belt wrestler, you know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys divided? Like when you go into a normal wrestling room, like are they just like, okay, the guys who are trying to go to the Olympics over here,
yeah,
right? How are you guys like subdivided so that you're not? I mean, you might be a bit of an exception since you're very high level and like obviously you need to train with the best of the best, but
yeah,
just in a normal wrestling room, how are people distinguishing?
Yeah, so everybody, for the most part, everybody's just mixed together. You know, it's like 3 o'clock practice, 3 to 5, everybody's mixed together. And going back to picking partners, you kind of know who's good and who's not. You know, I know these guys are elite because of the way they perform and you know, tournaments and stuff. So those are the guys I want to be practicing with. Obviously, the coaches know that. The coaches know which guys are trying to get better and which guys are better. And so they're trying to help those, you know, the people that are looking to advance. You know, they're putting in the work, practice ends, and they're doing another 15, 20 after practice. You know, the coaches know who wants to get better, and they're investing in those people. And then you know, knowing the right partners for you and who's going to make you better.